My name is John Anderson, and I'm a managing director for Allegis Partners. We're a boutique executive search firm focused solely on the people operations or human resources space. We're part of a much larger $13 billion human capital organization. And I've got partners based in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and then I'm here in San Francisco. And I come at this with a little bit of a unique perspective. So I spent 25 years as an operator within human resources and probably the last 20 as a head of HR in pre-IPO tech companies. And so when One Kings Lane, which was the last role where I was a chief people officer, started its downturn, I really did some reflection on what do I want to do? Do I want to do another startup? Is that exciting for me? And that wasn't exciting for my wife. And I was looking for something where I could really utilize my skills, but have more time at home with my family. And I got approached about a role to do consulting and executive search solely for HR or people operations. Didn't even know it existed. And I was like, wow, that's really exciting. So I thought about it and decided to do it. Really enjoyed the work, primarily because I could talk to CEOs about what they were looking for and how to elevate the function, how to deploy certain resources and technologies. So it sort of, I was able to scratch my consulting itch, and I was also able to talk to them about bringing candidates to them that I knew as being a part of the Bay Area network of technology executives within HR. And I thought that was a really good fit for me. So about 2 years ago, I joined Allegis Partners. Probably 3.5 years ago, I met Robbie. And Robbie and I did a couple of events together and really enjoyed doing. We brought leaders together. And then he let me know that him and Kara had started this thing called PeopleTech Partners and wanted to know if I wanted to be a part of it. And I think what Robbie and I had done together on a very small scale, this is conjecture, but I think him and Kara were like, I think we can do this on a much bigger and broader level. And I was all in from the beginning. I thought it was a great idea. And it was really helpful for me because I got to, one, interact on a more regular basis with people that I knew and respected. I got to meet a lot of new people that were doing really innovative things in the space. And they were bringing forth this technology that we got to evaluate, which for me, in my role, was really awesome. I've used some of these technologies in my role, which have been hugely helpful. From a networking standpoint, I was sitting in one of the sessions today that Ron Storn was leading, and, 2 of the 4 people leaders up on stage are people that I had placed in roles. And so it was just so fun to see, be a part of this community and know that I'm making a contribution to the community. It's a little bit different than the other people leaders, but I've been in that seat. And so I really enjoy the perspective that they bring to the table, how much the role and the function has changed, and how I get to benefit that. And hopefully they get to benefit in networking with me as well. And so I think that's one of the things this community does really well, is there's a space for a lot of different people to come together, bring their expertise, and truly be a network. In a sense, it's a little bit like dating, right? Like, when you meet somebody, whether or not they're going to be a match for the CEO and the organization that you're doing work for. And so that's really the first thing I look for is, does this person kind of have the mindset that the CEO or the leadership team is looking for to take them to the next level? And so what I typically look for is A, is there that chemistry there? And then B, I kind of do a deep dive into 5 different areas that I rely on. And the first thing is, do they see this from a broader business perspective? They're not just coming from the HR angle, but from a broader business perspective. The second thing I really look at is how they think they can impact the organization and utilize people within the organization to amplify their message. And that's really important, I think, for people in this role to be able to use the voices of everyone. Pat just talked about in her keynote, DIBS and diversity, inclusion, and belonging, and how you draw the best out of people. And I think the best leaders are able to do this in this space. The third thing I look for are examples of how they've helped amplify the culture. We don't own the culture in people ops or HR, but a lot of what we do helps to amplify what has been created and helps evolve what has been created. And so I look for examples of what they've done because it's such a critical element of the role. And then on the talent side, it's both on the acquisition and the development. Are they thinking about the brand? Are they thinking about how they would acquire talent? Are they probing in areas? If somebody says, we're 200 today, we're going to be 400 by the end of the year, I hope they say, how are they going to achieve that? And really break it down. And then I look at the development side too, and so much of growing is helping people with the tools they need to ensure that people stick around and have good relationships with their managers. And the last thing, which is so relevant to this space, is technology and data. And so do they understand and are they able to implement the technologies that are going to really help them scale? And can they use data to help tell a story about what they're doing? And so those are the 5 things that I usually dig into. And then there's usually a few things that the organization that I'm supporting is looking for specifically. And so I'll dive into those areas. The venture community and the startup community should know more about what PeopleTech is doing. But I think it's even broader than that. I think that if you look at what big company, Fortune 500 companies are doing in HR, are doing in people operations, what we're doing is so relevant for them to take their message forward. Sometimes you get stuck in the mud a little bit when you're at a larger company and feeling like you can't propel things forward. And I think we can help them drive that message. If you talk to PeopleTech members or other HR leaders, hopefully they know who I am. But Allegis Partners at Allegis-partners.com tells a little bit about our story. And I have a partner in Chicago who focuses on diversity board work as well. So it's a really interesting thing. And we talked a little bit today about how HR people are becoming more sought after to be on boards. And so that's really exciting for us too, because we focus on only diversity candidates to be on boards of both public and private companies.